Does your pantry ever feel like a full-time job? No matter how much you try, it's always overflowing, but not with the things you actually need. Today, I'm taking you inside a real client's pantry that we recently decluttered and sharing my top 4 tips to declutter it more effectively so you can save time, save money, and get on with your life. The first tip is very simple, but not always simple to apply, but I think I can help you with that. Food prices have gone totally wild in the past few years, so most of us are highly focused on saving money and avoiding waste. But here is the tricky part. An overstuffed pantry actually causes more waste, because the good food, the food you actually want to eat, gets buried and forgotten about. This is why tip number 1 is getting really good at letting go of food you are not gonna eat. Honestly, if you take one thing from this video, make it this one. Now, I know tossing food sounds simple, but usually it's fairly sticky because we're human and food can be very emotional. For some of us, it even ties back to food insecurities that we experienced as kids or young adults. So before I dive in, just know if you have those feelings, those are normal. So here are 3 ways to let go of food without the guilt. Strategy number 1 is just to cook from your shelves. Shelf cooking. Plan meals around what you already have and what you already own. And I usually suggest building in a weekly leftovers night as well. Just this week, I swapped out the meatballs that I had planned for dinner with leftovers just because we had so much. This one switch saved us money and saved me time. Strategy number 2 is just pass the items along. If you have things that are not expired, you can pass them along to a friend or you can donate them to your local food bank. I shared how I recently bought 2 boxes of gluten-free Kraft dinner by accident, and it only took 1 box for my family to confirm that they will never eat it. So instead of letting that second box just sit in my pantry for years on end and then eventually having to throw it out, I instantly took it back to the grocery store and put it into the food bank bin that they have right at the entry. I got it out of my pantry and into the hands of someone who will actually eat it. You can also trade or give away to friends or family. I have a friend who does some semi-regularly like Costco shops, and sometimes she'll get like a huge thing of snacks for the kids and her kids end up not liking it. So she passes it along to me, and a lot of times my kids will eat them. So it works out, it's a win-win for everybody. Strategy number 3 is to toss food to save future food. I know it feels sort of backwards, but trust me, it is true. Getting rid of food you are not eating now will save future food. Think of it this way. Once you rip off the Band-Aid and get rid of like the Halloween candy from 2020 that's still sitting in your pantry, that frees up space for breakfast items, baking supplies, snacks that you will eat. When your pantry is clutter-free, your good food is front and center, less likely to expire and more likely to be eaten. So remember, tossing food now isn't failure, it is progress. Even if this is the only step you take today, you will be ahead. And if you need a voice in your head cheering you on, think of me saying you can do this. Next up, tip number 2 is usually much less emotional, so therefore usually much easier. You would be amazed at what we find in pantries, specifically pantries that are pretty big. Sometimes like if they have a door or like sort of like a walk-in pantry situation. Everything from paperwork to craft kits to actual furniture. It's one thing to keep, like roasting pans or your Christmas dishes in there. That makes sense. But what I'm talking about is the random stuff like Easter baskets, half-finished craft kits, your tax returns from 2012 that make it impossible to manage your food when those items are cluttering up the space. Getting non-food items out of your pantry gives you back space for what actually belongs there, which is food. And the less distracted your pantry is, the easier it is to use what you have, waste less, and save money. If it doesn't belong, you have 3 options. Declutter it, rehome it to another part of your house, or if you're right in the midst of like a big pantry overhaul, then just set it to the side for now and you can decide that later. Even if this is all you do, just clearing out the random non-food items out of your pantry, you will be a step ahead. Next up is what most people assume that we do all day when we're doing pantry projects. When you pull everything out of your pantry, it probably looks like total chaos, which is totally normal. However, the goal is to turn that chaos into order. So tip number 3 is just to create basic organization. Emphasis on basic. All we want is to give everything a home. That's it. You don't need fancy labels, clear acrylic bins. A Pinterest perfect makeover is not necessary. We just want clear spots for the food you actually eat. We have organized so many pantries that I have lost count, and the categories are nearly always the same. And knowing them makes this step so much easier. So here are the 5 main categories that we almost always use: canned goods, breakfast items, grains such as rice and pasta, snacks, and baking supplies. I'm gonna put this list right on the screen so you can take a screenshot. From there, you can tweak this list to work for you and your family and your space. For clients who do a lot of bulk shopping, for example, we often split canned goods into like sauces, veggies, soups, beans. Whereas if you only ever have like a few cans at once, just having a general cans category might work for you. A lot of times with snack lovers, we separate, salty versus sweet snacks, or we might even have like adult snacks versus kid snacks. Clients who love baking might divide their items into sugars, flours, decorating items, or even seasonal. And sometimes we add little fun extras. In this pantry, for example, we used a wicker basket just for bread, which is always like a nice little cozy touch. In this pantry, we also put all of the liquids together on turntables, so like oils, vinegars, and spreads like peanut butter. Other common add-ons are like a basket for potatoes and/or onions, or oftentimes we'll do like drink sections for coffee or tea or even smoothie ingredients. But here's the thing, you don't have to get super detailed if that feels overwhelming. Even if you just stick to those 5 main categories, you will be ahead. The final tip is fast, simple, and I would even say easy with time. In a recent video, I included a little mini reset of my own pantry. And if I remember correctly, I think the video was about doing decluttering like 5 minutes a day. And I think my pantry maybe took, 7 or 8 minutes. And the reason I could do it that quickly was because 1, I have become very realistic about food we will eat and food we won't eat. I've been really training myself to get rid of stuff we are not gonna eat. Number 2, I only have food in my pantry, which makes this so much easier. 3 is that I've organized everything into categories. And number 4, I do it regularly. Practice makes perfect, or practice makes better anyway. Tip number 4 is to do regular pantry resets, because the more often you do it, the faster you will get at it. In our home, I do this every single week without even thinking about it. But if this is so far from your normal routine, that how the heck do you make this part of your normal routine? I usually suggest some sort of habit stacking. So I review my pantry as part of my meal plan and when I'm making my grocery list. It's just part of the same routine. I was already making a meal plan and making my grocery list, so this was like an easy thing to just sort of add on to that weekly habit I already did. Now, having the space obviously organized is gonna make this so much easier. But if you were thinking, Marianne, I am light years away from having categories or things labeled, that is fine. Just start super small. Even start with just decluttering 1 shelf, that's it. In our home, my whole process from planning what we eat to making the list, shopping, putting it away, and just managing the inventory is nearly seamless after years of practice. But no matter how efficient I make it, it still takes time. And I think that very often this task doesn't get enough credit. I think managing the food inventory of a home is a truly important job and can have a major impact on a household budget, the schedule, and even the overall well-being of everybody in the house. So if you are in charge of this, I see you, and I guarantee you that you're already probably doing way better than you think. If you are looking for more decluttering inspiration and you haven't watched my recent video about decluttering like you're moving, you can check that one out right here. Thank you guys so much for being here, for following along, and I will see you in the next video. Bye guys.